When we hear the word discipline, most of us usually think about one of two things: hard work and David Goggins. When people like you and me say that we want to become more disciplined, it normally means a few things. We want to get our life together. We want better grades. We want to earn more money so we can flex on people. And, of course, flex on them with that money. But there are two big problems with this. The first problem is that discipline is not easy. If it were easy, then everyone would have six-pack abs and would be driving around in Lamborghinis and Bugattis. The second problem is that we somehow believe a random motivational TikTok we watch at 3 o'clock a.m. will magically turn us into a disciplined person the next day. But deep down, we already know what's really going to happen. As soon as that 5 a.m. alarm goes off, the one we confidently set the night before, we're smashing the snooze button. So the real question is, how do we actually become disciplined? Before we understand how to become disciplined, we first need to understand why discipline is so difficult in the first place. Why do we choose video, games, and endless doom scrolling instead of getting our lives together? First, ask yourself a simple question. Why do you even want to be disciplined? Most likely, it's because you have some kind of goal you want to achieve, but forcing yourself to do the work required to reach that goal feels like a constant struggle. Why is that? Because every technological advancement in modern society has trained our brains to crave comfort and avoid discomfort, and that conditioning makes discipline much harder. For example, imagine you're hungry, but your fridge is empty. No problem. You can order McDonald's in 5 minutes with just a few taps on your phone. Maybe you want to feel like you're progressing in life, but don't want to actually put in the effort. Well, you have video games. Maybe you want the feeling of love, but you're too afraid to talk to women. Well, there's always the incognito tab. So how do we actually become disciplined when it feels like everything, including our own brain, is working against us? To understand this better, let's talk about video games. In many RPG games, every player starts at level 0. There are skills you need to level up so that you can become stronger and defeat tougher bosses. To level up those skills, you need experience points. And that usually means doing repetitive tasks, like sitting in one area all day, slaying level 2 goblins just to grind XP. Discipline works in a very similar way. Nobody is born disciplined. Everyone starts at level 0, unless real life was designed by Electronic Arts and you could just pay $100 to unlock discipline level 100. But in reality, there actually is a way to level up your discipline in real life. You need to face resistance and force yourself to do things you don't feel like doing. Every time you avoid doing something difficult, you miss an opportunity to level up your discipline skill. But every time you push through and do it anyway, that's like gaining XP. Think of it like a goblin spawning in front of you. It's your chance to defeat it and level up. For example, imagine you suddenly think, I should probably do my homework, but you really don't feel like doing it. That moment is exactly like a goblin spawning in a video game. It's an opportunity to level up. If you force yourself to do the homework, you gain discipline XP, which is basically the same as defeating the goblin. Getting better at discipline is similar to improving at shooting basketballs. You don't become better by watching endless videos on how to shoot. Just like how you're watching this video right now about discipline. You get better by actually practicing. When learning basketball, you shoot the ball again and again. When training discipline, you repeatedly do the task even when you don't feel like it. When we see that one Asian kid studying 12 hours every single day, we tend to assume he was simply born with that level of discipline. But the reality is much simpler. He's just been training and leveling up his discipline skill longer than you have. Possibly with the added motivation of having no dinner for a week if he brings home even one. Now, if you still believe discipline is purely genetic and can't be improved, let me put on my nerd glasses for a second and get a little scientific. There's a region in your brain called the anterior mid-cingulate cortex. Let's just call it the MCC. This part of the brain is heavily involved in controlling willpower. And willpower is basically your ability to control your actions in order to pursue long-term goals, which is essentially discipline. One study found that obese individuals tended to have smaller MCC regions, while physically fit individuals had larger ones. What this suggests is that the AMCC can actually grow. So how do you grow it? The answer is simple: by doing things you don't want to do. Just like leveling up discipline. Going to the gym 6 times a week for 2 hours might feel like Navy SEAL training for most people. But if you genuinely enjoy doing it, it won't strengthen your AMCC as much. The activity has to involve some level of resistance, something you personally dislike. For example, maybe it's not hogging a gym machine for 2 hours straight, but something more annoying for you. The key point is that in order to build discipline, you need to face tasks you personally don't enjoy. Now you might feel motivated to suddenly study 8 hours a day and run 20 miles every morning at 5 a.m. But that's usually a recipe for failure. Instead, start small. Look around your room right now. Did you even make your bed this morning? Are there clothes scattered on the floor? Do you have moldy pizza plates sitting around? Does your room look like a polluted river? If that's the case, it's a clear sign you're not ready for an 8-hour study session or a 20-mile run. You need to start with small disciplines. If you don't even have the discipline to make your bed in the morning, how would you possibly have the discipline to study 8 hours or run 20 miles? That would be like trying to fight a level 100 boss when you're only level 1. The way you behave in small situations often reflects how you'll behave in bigger ones. How you do anything is often how you do everything. Small disciplines, and even annoying chores, matter more than you think. Doing dishes, making your bed, or even cleaning up your dog's poop might seem insignificant, but they're actually powerful training opportunities. These chores happen frequently throughout the day, which means more chances to level up your discipline. It's like having more goblins spawning that you can defeat for XP. If you make it a habit to wash dishes or clean up after your dog even when you don't feel like it, you're constantly training your discipline. Over time, your brain begins to automatically complete tasks you once avoided. Discipline becomes easier because you've conditioned yourself through small, consistent actions. This idea is very similar to the compound effect, where tiny actions accumulate over time and eventually lead to massive results. If you're not sure where to start, you can create daily or weekly non-negotiables. These are the minimum tasks you promise yourself you will complete no matter what. For example, some of my own non-negotiables include working out at least 4 times a week and completing at least 3 hours of deep work every day. I don't particularly enjoy working out or scripting videos, which is part of my deep work. But setting these non-negotiables forces me to constantly train my discipline and move toward my goals. The key is to start small and keep these non-negotiables reasonable so that you can stick to them consistently. Once they become easy, you can slowly increase them. Some people think discipline means dragging yourself through endless discomfort and torture for the rest of your life. But discipline can also be viewed as an act of self-love. If you truly love and respect yourself, you wouldn't constantly harm yourself by eating junk food made from ingredients that look like they belong on the periodic table, or by opening the incognito tab with a bottle of lotion to fry your dopamine receptors with adult content. If you genuinely cared about yourself, you would choose actions that your future self could be proud of. You will almost never regret doing the hard thing, but you will often regret not doing it. Think about it. When was the last time you said, "Man, I wish I didn't do my homework. I wish I procrastinated instead"? Your future self is always watching. Being overweight 24 hours a day is harder than exercising for just 1 hour today. Being broke is harder than working on a side hustle for 2 hours today. Getting kicked out of your home because you failed a test is harder than studying 2 extra hours today. Whenever I'm faced with a difficult task, like scripting this video right now, I simply tell myself, I'll be glad I did this later anyway. So why not just do it now? If you already know completing the hard task will make you feel proud at the end of the day, then you already have the perfect reason to do it. Now imagine your morning is like a breakfast buffet. You start with a bowl of plain oatmeal. It's okay, a little bland, but still satisfying. Then you notice a stack of pancakes dripping with syrup and you decide to try them. They taste amazing. Your brain immediately wants more. Suddenly, the oatmeal feels boring and tasteless compared to the pancakes. This is exactly what happens when you start your morning scrolling through TikTok instead of doing something productive like studying or running. TikTok is the stack of syrupy pancakes. If those pancakes didn't exist, the oatmeal would still feel good enough. But once you've tasted something more stimulating, it becomes much harder to go back. That's why it's important to tackle difficult tasks first thing in the morning. If you scroll TikTok before studying, studying will instantly feel boring in comparison. TikTok has already hijacked your brain with higher stimulation. This is also why many people wake up extremely early to go for a run. Waking up early and running is uncomfortable, it sucks, but it sets the tone for the rest of the day. It builds your tolerance for hard tasks. If you survive a tough morning run, studying afterward feels much easier, almost like a walk in the park. But if you still struggle with discipline, try this exercise. Grab a piece of paper and write down everything the disciplined version of yourself would do. What do they eat? What do they look like? How do they behave? Write down as much detail as you can. Then aim to become that person every single day. As cringe as it might sound, you can even imagine yourself as your favorite badass anime warrior. Just maybe don't take it too far around other people. The key is to make discipline part of your identity. People naturally behave in ways that align with the identity they believe they have. For example, Michael Jordan always saw himself as a winner. So whenever he lost, he doubled his effort to win the next time. Many people think there's some kind of life hack that will suddenly make them disciplined. You can try different strategies and techniques, but in the end it all comes down to one simple thing: doing what needs to be done even when you don't feel like doing it. Yes, it will suck, but that struggle will eventually pay off. Your future self will thank you for it, and one day you'll look back and feel proud of the work you put in. Anyway, I hope this video helped you. Subscribe if you learned something new.